If there is no quick resolution to the budget impasse regarding the continuing resolution and fiscal year 15 appropriations, there are only 16 calendar days and 5 legislative days until the Department of Homeland Security shuts down on February 28th, closing down the bulk of DHS's management and support of the Homeland Security infrastructure that was built following the 9/11 terrorist attack. I will just mention a few of those things that would be impacted. Shuttering the DHS Domestic Nuclear Detection Office, which would no longer alert and coordinate with law enforcement agencies, and withholding the securing the city's grants that pay for the critical nuclear detection capabilities in cities across the country. Halting research and development work on countermeasures to devastating biological threats, on nuclear detection equipment, and on cargo and passenger screening technology. Also crippling FEMA's preparation for future disasters and furloughing 22% of FEMA's personnel, as well as ending FEMA's training activities with local law enforcement for weapons of mass destruction events. Also, Mr. Chairman, some of DHS's employees would continue to work in the event of a shutdown. They would be forced to do so without pay, creating a significant distraction and dealing a tremendous blow to a department with already low morale. Among those who would be expected to protect Americans without getting paid would be more than 40,000 Border Patrol agents and Customs and Border Patrol officers, more than 50,000 TSA aviation and security screeners, more than 13,000 Immigration and Customs enforcement agents, more than 40,000 active duty Coast Guard military members, and more than 4,000 Secret Service law enforcement agents and officers. With such serious consequences, it's no wonder 3 former DHS secretaries sent a letter to Senators Mitch McConnell and Harry Reid calling for a clean DHS funding bill. The essential funding for the Department of Homeland Security is no place for the majority to showboat against immigration reform that strengthens our economy and our country. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and with that, I yield back.
I thank the gentleman from Mississippi. Other members of the subcommittee are reminded that opening statements may be submitted for the record. We are pleased today to have a distinguished panel of witnesses before us on this very important topic. I thank you all for being here. I'd like to recognize the panel en banc, and then each of you will have the opportunity to provide opening statements. Our first witness is Mr. Andy Osmond. He's the Assistant Secretary for the Office of Cybersecurity and Communications within the National Protection and Programs Directorate of the Department of Homeland Security. Welcome. Our second witness, Dr. Huban Gawadi, is the Director of the Domestic Nuclear Detection Office in the Department of Homeland Security. Next, we'll hear from Mr. Joseph Martin, who's the Acting Director of the Homeland Security Enterprise and First Responders Group within the Science and Technology Directorate at the Department of Homeland Security. Also joining us today is Mr. William Noonan, who is the Deputy Special Agent in charge of the Criminal Investigative Division at the United States Secret Service. And finally, we have with us Mr. William Painter, a Government and Finance Division Analyst at the Congressional Research Service. Again, the Chair, the Ranking Member, and the members of this subcommittee very much appreciate the witnesses' presence today. The witnesses' full statements will appear in the record. The Chair now recognizes Mr. Osmond for 5 minutes to testify.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman Ratcliffe, Ranking Member Richmond, Ranking Member Thompson, members of this subcommittee. I am pleased to appear today to discuss the work of the Department of Homeland Security's National Protection and Programs Directorate, or NPPD, to address persistent and emerging cybersecurity risks to the U.S. homeland. As the Internet and network technologies become increasingly omnipresent part of our daily lives, growing cyber threats present an increasing risk to critical infrastructure, our economy, and our national security. As a nation, we are faced with pervasive threats from malicious cyber actors. These individuals and groups are motivated by a variety of reasons that include espionage, political and ideological beliefs, and financial gain. For example, certain nation-states pose a significant economic cyber threat as they aggressively target and seek access to public and private sector computer networks with the goal of stealing and exploiting massive quantities of data, including intellectual property and other sensitive information. In another example we saw in the recent Sony incident, cyber attacks also have the potential to damage physical infrastructure. The DHS National Protection and Programs Directorate undertakes its cybersecurity activities within its overarching mission to secure and enhance the resilience of the nation's cyber and physical infrastructure. We view ourselves as a customer service organization, and our customers are federal civilian departments and agencies, private sector infrastructure owners and operators, and state, local, tribal, and territorial governments. In serving these customers, our guiding principles are to prioritize our customers' needs to build and retain their trust, to ensure privacy and civil rights across the depth